Yeah. Welcome
Yes,
back,
sir.
guys, to our channel.
What's
Hard
up?
ones. Woo, 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 woo,
Boom.
woo. Da-da-da-da. So, um, today we have a very interesting topic, and we have interesting people that we are going to be together and talking about things that we might not have, like maybe we're not privy to those conversations before, like growing up and in forming our own personalities and forming the things that we want to do and the things that we think right, the thing that we think is wrong, following our heart versus following morals. And it's like you have certain battles, in our mind as young men that we have to deal with. Especially if you grew up in a home where you are left to grow up on autopilot, like you don't get instructions, you just know what time to go to bed, you just know what you know, the food ready, or you don't wash the plate, or you just know that. So it's
Schedule,
like you have
man.
got no
Yeah.
instruction for your how about.
Yeah.
But we are in Mental Health Awareness Month, and we want to discuss a little bit about the mental health of men. And we're not going to have it too
Formal.
strict or formal. We're just going to free up and talk about it, because I don't think men care to talk about that, because there is a simpler way to deal with life, which we can discuss whether or not the outcome makes sense or not. So so we can just sit down. We're going to lock our doors, make sure the fan is off, and then we boom in. So today we have with us Sam Alexander. Sam Alexander. Um, yes, you. No. So I have Sam Alexander next to me, and he has been a very influential person in my life growing up, and especially musically. I saw his discipline and where he got to, and he imparted his knowledge. I know not all of it because he only was with us for like some time, a season. So he imparted the foundation that we needed to grow and develop and to know other things. Because imagine being a musician and not even knowing how to listen to the next person that playing, and that's so sounding so simple, and that can be so destructive if you don't know it. You understand? So just having somebody with experience that can tell you, yo, bro, I tell you something very simple, but the importance of it, you will see while you're growing. So it's like sometimes it's just okay to just listen and just follow, especially somebody that has been somewhere that you want to be. You understand?
Yeah.
So that is Sam, ladies and gentlemen, to me. One of the most influential people in my life. I know Sam as not just a musician. Sam was an officer. Can I say that?
Yeah, man.
Sam was an officer at the prison in Dominica, and Sam organized a system in the prison where the musicians who are incarcerated is the word,
Yeah.
would have instruments, and they had calypso competition and were playing music in the prison. And I actually know of one of the musicians that was in the prison playing music. I mean, he's dead now, but I I knew him. So that is something that is actually a real thing that he did.
Wow. Respect. As
And
a legend, not everybody.
yes,
Why?
so imagine what the effect of that is psychologically for a man
Yeah.
that in prison that need to vent and express himself. So it have a bunch
Definitely.
of things that we our life come around full circle, and we don't realize the effect of the things that we do and the fruits of what we do, and people eating it, and we don't even realize that. We
True
don't
that.
even know that we did things, and it it bear fruits, and people enjoy those things, and sometimes we don't even know that. So sometimes it's good to be self-aware and to have the discussions where we
Yeah.
can realize certain things just by talking to people. Brother Gavin, no, Gavin is a regular host, but he's a man of paper, however you want to take that. He's in the trap and he's hustling. He's in his
Yeah.
trap hustling, and so he's on with us whenever he can. But Gavin, to me, I used to see Gavin. I can talk fluently without even reading a script, because my life is about music, and the people around me right now is all related to music and entertainment.
I hope you talk about nice.
And
So.
I'm talking about you as well.
Okay, good.
You forget you. You forget, are you?
No, I said I hope you talk about me nice like that. You say
Are
everything
you?
them man feel vibes, yeah.
Wait, you forget you was an
Yeah,
entertainer.
man.
I don't forget that I entertain. I say I hope you talk about nice. So.
I covered. I covered. So Gavin, no, Gavin. To me, we can be honest. We're on the hard ones. Gavin and his brother and his family, his sister, and all of his family has been a very influential family as well. Gavin, I saw him and his brother and all his siblings as people that was so creative and so genius, but did not have the consistency of having somebody like Sam. I had Sam for a season. Like how long was it? How long was our training for? 6 weeks?
No man, more than 6 weeks. Maybe a couple of months or three or something. Something like
Couple
that.
months. But I feel like I mean Gavin's father is a musician. And Gavin is to me is like a child like he could have like I honestly bro, Gavin honestly I see that in you, and I see you as a person that anything you put your hand to is just boom, like it just have to happen. Like that is how I see you, and even your family
Yeah,
and
thanks.
your family. Like that's why when you got your new situation, well I guess it's public, or if you
Yeah,
disclose,
yeah,
you I was telling you I was happy about you getting that opportunity to be in a position where you can more express and explore, because imagine wanting to express in certain things and you have to buy it first to try it. You have to buy it to try it and then you
True.
can't return it, so it's like you're in a better position now because you have greatness in you, bro, and I know that for sure.
appreciate that.
Josh, obviously he wants me to introduce him, but he's a host, so but I'll still introduce him.
I wasn't being literal, man. Just trying to make you feel bad.
I know. I not. I try. I make you see. I'm not feeling bad. Josh is an entertainer as well. He's my cousin. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh. So, how do we start? How do we start talking about mental health? Like, what do you think about it?
Um, I think one of the first things that as men we have to mention about mental health is I always think that a good place to start on this conversation is like the common misconceptions, because before you can just dive into it and start discussing what is there, I think it's always important to kind of rediscover what is not there, or maybe like the way that we train to see things, or the way that the world is trained to see us in regards to like that particular conversation, to kind of change the narrative and to really reveal what is under the surface rather than just going by those misconceptions. I think a very common misconception is that men are generally not emotional. And we have to kind of tie emotions and as well as your physical condition and everything else to your mental health. But men are usually not seen in the light of a being that is emotional or has an emotional bearing on the things that we do in life, or that there is the weight of our emotions and our psyche on how we live. That's not the case. I think that one of the first things is that it's not that men are not emotional or men do not go through difficult situations that weigh down on our minds, and our mental health is indeed important. But it's just that in a lot of situations, men deal with things a lot more on the basis of logic and thought
True that.
than feeling and emotion.
Right.
And that's what I've realized, not just from like my own way of living, but in speaking with other men, my peers, classmates, whatever, uh, older men that I've worked with or just relate to. And I mean, Kenrick knows. I mean, I've always been in circles with people above me. Always, majority of my friends were guys that were Benny age or Kenrick age, or the older fellas, and like to have conversations with older men, and then now talking to younger guys, whether it's teaching them music, coaching them in basketball or just talking to them, we deal with a lot of things on the basis of logic. We like to know what it is, what it isn't, and what we're going to do about it.
Hmm.
Because men are trained for effect. We train for outcome. But the effect in itself or how the process affects us, we never really even look at it.
That is deaf, boy.
Because
That's
all we care about is getting the job done.
Yeah.
the
And
outcome.
whatever blows you have to take,
Oh,
whatever strain you have to handle, or the cross you have to bear, that it is what it is. But the goal is important. And I think that is the first thing that that first wall we have to break is it's okay to understand how the process affects you.
yeah.
This journey of life, every day there's a new skin on the onion to peel off. There's a new block or new brick in the wall, and we have to begin to actually ask ourselves how this is affecting us. Because while we're still effective as men, we still find ways to get it done and push through and power through. We carrying so much weight, baggage that we don't know what to do with it, where to put it, how to unpack it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that usually contributes to unhealthy situations down the line. So I think that's one of the first things is that misconception that men are not emotional.
I mean,
Or that
something important striking like come to mind when you say that. So, what do you think about the period where a man lives his life on autopilot and then he just realized he have to check himself and to get his mind right, get his heart right. That period where he might not be maybe as productive, maybe like externally, people might not see that he's doing things, or maybe he might look he's in work but he's looking far. That period there, how do you maneuver that period of checking yourself? What do you think about that
But dealing
period?
with that in itself not easy, no?
it's
Because
it's not. Well,
because look
I
at it
mean,
like this, right? Like in what you're saying there, yes, you have to go for that period. But again, society give us a bracket that men supposed to be just that go getters. That when you see we just put our mind to something, go
you
and
have
do
to
it.
do.
So to put yourself in a position where you can be like, okay, I can slow down a little bit. I might be a little sluggish there. I might not be able to get this done. You have that to deal with, but then you also have the people looking at you and what you're trying to do and say, but Mr. Lazy man, Mr. Got nothing good to accomplish for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it difficult. It's like a double fold of pressure. You check what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get one place, but at the same time, you're looking at everybody around you. And sometimes even the most important persons around you, that your job and whatever you're doing is going to be very important. But you're looking at it and they're looking down on you because you're trying to deal with yourself internally.
Hmm.
And you can't do that and still function fully externally. You check what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you need to slow down, to take that mental time to like recap, take that emotional time to fix up yourself. And I think next thing is men, like men doesn't give ourselves a lot of time to do a lot of things that we need to do. You check, and like you were saying, mentally also, we need emotional support too, because like when we go for certain emotional wrecking things, we just kind of like have a attitude like, okay, well, vibes, and we move on. You know what I'm saying? We quick to just say vibes, put it on the cap it,
Yeah.
and we moving on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
We need that space to like slow down, take a breather, heal from something. You know what I'm saying? And recuperate and come back again. That is how you can be effective. Eh? A lot
For
of
real.
times we doing what we're doing, and we're not even, like you said, we doesn't even think about it. We just know we don't care what happened along the way as long as we get from point A to point B. You know what I'm saying?
Would you?
Yeah.
Sorry, but I going to interject one more thing real quick, and then I'm going to ease up. I just because as I was talking, I was getting ideas in my mind, like of questions like a woman might ask. What if a woman say, "Do you think that is as a result of a man not being able to multitask, like to be able to deal with emotional things and still function and still do this, still be that, still be this, still be that?" Like, what is your thoughts on that, though?
Uh, I don't think so. And maybe Sam wants to say something. If you do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of things come to mind. sometimes I want to consider myself as being well read,
Big one.
but well read.
Okay.
But I think it's more experience. I am already 50. And so I can see life and I've seen life from many different angles. But let's talk about from a musical point of view, because some of the things that made us is actually the cocoon within which we were brought up. And we cannot escape from that without a struggle, without a fight. Because everywhere you turn, it is a cultural stereotype or cultural kind of stigmatization that you must follow that pattern.
Ooh.
And it is a war between you, a person who has read or who is more educated. It is a war trying to take this direction because you know that this is a direction of liberation. It's a direction that's going to make you more productive and more self-confident as a man. But this is what you were brought up with. And everywhere you turn, this has been pressed, and people seem not to be able or willing to let go. And so he spoke about being lazy. So when I began to play music, the conception of a musician was a lazy person.
Wow.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because it was a hobby.
Yeah.
People never saw the business side of music.
Or the work side, the effort that goes into music.
They
They
never
never saw that music takes a lot of mental and physical
Right.
effort
And
just to
so
produce that little nice 5 minutes of enjoyable.
exactly so.
Right.
So when you come to deal with yourself as a person, you have to be willing to lose a lot of friends and family as well. And you have to be willing to mess up some established relationships. Because if not, we are talking about men are not emotional, but this is what happens. We live and we put ourselves in a position where we are to please the people who are different than us. And we wish we could escape these people, but we cannot escape these people. And they do not give us an opportunity to be ourselves. And there is a term we use in Creole, Wespe Ime, where you want to tell that person off, but there is a false sense of respect and you are hurting. You understand? You want to be free, you want to let loose, you want to let it go, but you are hurting, you cannot speak your mind. There's an uncle who says to shut up. There's a mother who says you should do it like that. There's a pastor who says you wrongly understand the concept of the scripture, and he understands it and he must shove it down your throat. And just to find out, 3 years or 4 years down the line, the argument they were making, somebody else is rebutting it over there. And so you are in a place of confusion. And if you do not have that strength and that inner fight in you to say, listen to me, I must be my best friend. And I must love me above everything and everyone. And I must be able to define my future and my destiny and chart the course that I want to go. You will never make it as a man.
Wow.
Because the truth is, you will always be living in the shadow of other people, what other people expect of you, what your girlfriend expects of you, and listen to me, many of these people, they do not love where they are. And they know that that's not where they want to be. Some of them do not want to be there and they feel the same way as you are. But breaking away from the status quo is where it is at, because we have been taught that for so long. It has been ingrained in us as people.
Wow.
What a man is supposed to be and what a man's supposed to
Not
be.
Exactly.
What defines a man?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
Right. And yeah, go ahead.
now
Go ahead.
I make a comparison among American men and West Indian men. And what I find is American men are more feminine than Caribbean men. Caribbean men are more masculine. We carry huge egos that are killing us. You understand? It's just not worth it. We will not, let me tell you a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm sorry to my woman some years back because I am not supposed to say I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to let her see my tears. That make me weak.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But the truth is, I cry though,
Oh
but
yeah.
somewhere else. You understand? But there are certain chores that men have said that that's not men chores. And we lose our women because of that.
Yeah.
We don't bring flowers. We don't bring roses. We don't listen to the heart of the woman. We are controllers. We have to go get it. If it doesn't make sense to us, it cannot happen. But on the other side, the other woman that we are sharing our life with is hurting because it is emotionally significant to her. You understand? And we operate like we are leading with, we are ruling with a rod of iron. And so when we are so stuck up and it is so hard for us to free up and enjoy and have a good laugh, we develop a whole lot of stress-related diseases. And statistics have shown that there are more mentally ill men in the psychiatric institutions than women.
Whoa.
Because
And it's not just because of drug use.
yeah, not because of drug use.
It's just the psychological pressure.
Exactly so. Because we want to be men. You understand?
Yeah.
We want to be men.
I think that a lot of masculinity is actually what has contributed to our mental state as men. Like, if you have to just sit down and according to, as he said, according to stereotype or status quo or cultural norm, and map out everything that is expected of you as a man, and take a book, write it down, and be realistic about what every requirement is as stated by society. That will mash you up.
Yeah.
And to do that consistently with no break, with no change, with no downtime or no rest period. And rest is not just going and sleep. That's the only way most men, we rest ourselves. We rest our body. We never find rest for our minds or our soul.
Another thing, we use rest to define a lot of things. Rest, we use sleep to define a lot of things. We decide that's stressing us, we go and sleep. Instead of dealing with the situation, we just go and sleep that off. We're not even talking about tired from working. You know what I'm saying? Just tired from that person do that, the wife do that, man do this, that do work out, just go and sleep it off and never deal with it.
Yeah.
And something very important that Sam mentioned, you see like stress-related diseases, or basically what we call is the physical manifestation or representation of physical symptoms of a psychological weight or psychological issue. That causes men to miss a lot of what's really going on.
Yeah,
so you feel the physical burden of your stress, you're going to deal with the physical symptoms. It's just like taking painkillers for a headache. When you take paracetamol for a headache, the headache doesn't come from the pain in the head. The headache is a symptom of a problem somewhere else.
True.
That is just how the body is alerting you that there is something wrong. I mean, 2 nights ago, I think, because of I was dealing with some physical illness and I had a migraine. I needed to go throw up, and after throwing up and laying down for a little while, drinking a lot of water, rehydrate myself, the migraine was gone. What was hurting up here was dealt with by something down here.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. We have problems in our mind, in the mental, and we're trying to find other vices and other ways to heal those things that only dealing with the symptom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and that is another thing that is very important for us as men to look at. That we, for years, because of the fear of being feminine, being emotional, and let's be honest, the feminine is part of the man.
Yeah.
We have all human beings have that dual energy. There is the feminine and the masculine in every being. It's just to different degrees that define who we are and our physical, or ourselves, or what we are. But there is that energy within a man that needs to be not only acknowledged but catered to in a certain sense.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, if we just branch out of it a little bit, if I can continue, just to branch out a little bit, let's say you're looking at your emotions, because the emotions and the mind are very interconnected.
Yeah.
In relationships, I was speaking to a young lady, and she asked me, what is the male version of flowers? Like, if you want to make a woman feel nice and romance her, you bring her flowers.
Mhm.
So she asked me, what is the male version of flowers? And she was surprised at my answer. I told her the male version of flowers is flowers.
Yeah.
Why you cannot bring me a bouquet of flowers? What is wrong with that?
Yeah.
What is wrong with feeding into that? Is it that that side of me doesn't exist? That there is not that part in me as a man that wants love, that wants to be cared for, that wants every part of who I am, the mind, the body, and the spirit, to be catered to in some way. But where does that start? We have to take responsibility that a lot of it starts with us because we have made ourselves physical beings only.
Yes.
And once you cater to my physical needs, I will handle the rest.
Um,
Once I can ensure my stomach full, my pocket fat, and
Mhm.
my is taken care of, then I good.
let me throw that out, and you don't have to answer that question. So, but you spoke about a while ago taking paracetamol for perceived headache, right? I use the
Mhm.
word perceived because the headache is coming from another area most times, and it's because of a psychological issue or some stressors in our system, some of the way we
Mhm.
perceive something. Now, if you understand what leprosy is, it is a disease where all your peripheral nerves are
Yeah.
messed up so you don't feel. Now, whenever you take any pain reliever for any headache or any pain in your body, the pain is there. It is actually the chemical reaction of that pain reliever is numbing that pain.
Yes.
Quieting the
The
nerves. It's
the
not
pain is
dealing with
there,
the
right?
issue.
Yep. Yep.
Whatever damage has to be done, it will be done.
Yep.
You just don't feel when it is
Yep.
being done.
Yep.
You understand
Exactly.
what I'm talking about?
Oof,
And
Mhm.
so
oof.
when we take pain relievers, when we have stress related issues to deal with, we are not curing, but we are dying and hurting ourselves in silence because
Mhm.
we have now said we do not want to feel the effect of the problem. Let us cover it up. You understand? So the question I want to ask us, because how many of us would see our woman talk to another guy, come home and behave angrily with her? We might have accused her of having something with the guy that we know is not true. The only thing that is messing us up is we are jealous.
Ego.
How many of us would go to and say, babe, you know what? I saw you talking to James today. I'm jealous.
I would do that way.
Huh? I'm
No,
jealous.
but most men don't do that. They're just going to act out.
That's what I'm saying.
They're going to act out rather
So
than addressing the heart of what is going on with me and,
Use
and learning how to express that. Like,
according
But
to the
all that is
woman. Use your words.
programming. All of that is
exactly. And that
programming.
is why the first thing I said is the first thing men have to do is we have to break all the misconceptions
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
it pertains to our psychological, mental health, emotional well-being, everything that going to contribute to keeping us out of a mental facility. We
I
have
think
to
a lot
break
of things
those.
around us, a lot of things are, yeah, I think a lot of things around us is built to do just that, to keep us from mentally processing certain things. Like a lot of things around us is just built to keep us away from connecting to ourselves emotionally, to keep us away from certain things. Like if you look at it, for example, like we was talking about the whole rest thing, right? Like a lot of that is because we just decide, okay, cool, we're going to run to shit. I lose it, Kendrick. Papa God.
Okay.
Okay, wait a while, wait a while,
Shit.
wait a while. Go. Rewind. What I say?
You're
Talking about the
resting.
rest, the rest
The
thing.
rest.
Rest.
Okay, the
Yeah.
rest. So
Think about it. Think about it.
okay, go ahead, go ahead. Think I
So
catch you later.
yes, let me show you.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Yeah,
So
but
yes, Gavin,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, Gavin. Go ahead.
Nah, I was just saying is like one of the things that I wrote down when Joshua was speaking earlier is that like with rest, we need time and we need space.
Mhm.
One of the one of the words space, and Kendrick, the last time I was here with you guys, we mentioned, creating safe spaces for us to deal with certain things in relationships. Now let's just think of outside of relationships, because men, we are complex beings. And
Very, very.
creating no in terms of creating those safe spaces for us to deal with that, like for example, as Sam said, to be able to sit with your lady and say, you did something earlier and it made me jealous, and this is why I feel that way. We always put the responsibility on others to create that safe space where we can say that, and that's true. But if we never acknowledge and bring it forward that there is this side to me, how can they create a space for something they do not know is there? And if we're talking about breaking a cultural stereotype, the stereotype is not just on us, it is also on the women who deal with us.
Right.
They are conditioned to see us the same way we see ourselves. It's not just men that's perpetuating this thought or this way of viewing what men are. We have to help them as well realize that there are issues under here, and I am going to need from you the support to be able to deal with that side. I will try to break down these walls that society has forced me to build that keeps me from speaking about it or addressing it, but I also need that support to know that when I become vulnerable or when I open the darker parts of myself, when I start going into the things that are going to make me cry or going to make me angry or going to make me feel like going back into that shell, into that cage, I need to know that there is the support to say, no, let's walk through this dark tunnel and let's cross over to the other side. Because if we don't, guess what happens? The damage is not just on us. It trickles down to the next generation.
Definitely. I believe
And
that. I believe that.
And like one of the Ken guys see me with my godson, and one of the things that I do with him, I'm probably the only, I don't know if that influence has passed on, but one thing I always would do with him is as soon as he starts crying, I wouldn't tell him stop. I wouldn't tell him stop crying, because I don't want him to view his crying or the expression of his emotions towards a situation as a bad thing. Right. You don't need to stop crying. I need you to, in your own way, verbalize to me what making you cry. And it doesn't matter. He will say gibberish and I wouldn't be able to, but I will show him that I want to hear him. So when he starts learning words, even when he doesn't, even when he cries, he'll be able to say he's crying because of that.
Yes, and that's exactly how you have to do it. Yeah.
Because that is what you have to do. The tears is not the problem. We've made men believe that your tears or your weakness or your moments of frailty and vulnerability is a problem. No, the problem is under that. The breaking down is just a symptom. Now let's deal with the underlying issue. And if you make a man feel like his tears or his pain is justified and it's valid and it is okay to feel that, then maybe you can begin to explore what is happening underneath.
And you say something very important, You say something very important, but you say it fast. You say, let's deal with the underlying issue. I don't think you know how important that is, because sometimes you decide, you know what, babes, let's figure it out. Let's just put that behind us and we're moving. But you don't realize that if you don't actually deal with it, if you actually deal with the underlying issues that happen in between two of you, it's like you're just going to be dealing with branches and leaves, and the roots going to be sprouting new trees every time.
You don't even realize the moments afterwards where you say, you know what, let's just pass that. You didn't deal with it, but the psychological effect's still there. Now, guess what? Now you're condescending. Every time you communicate, you're talking down to the person. You don't look at them with the same level of love or appreciation in your eyes, because you always seeing them in terms of that issue and not the person. You are more passive aggressive, where you always seem to have an attitude, or you edgy, or you aggressive, you have less patience with the person, and you're not even asking yourself, why am I like this? It's because that thing that you were supposed to deal with for the sake of your mental health was brushed over because you're a man. Let's just keep
Yeah.
going because we there for a purpose. Let's keep moving towards the goal.
Yeah.
And then you neglect that, and now all your energy towards that thing, that situation is completely poisoned.
I think you thought something bigger than you realize, you know. Just now, you said your godson, if he cries, you will not tell him to stop. You allow him to cry. And that is important because crying is an emotion.
Oh yeah.
But we are not only taught not to cry, we are forced to not cry.
We forced to not feel.
You grow up as a young boy, your parents will beat you until you swallow the cry, man.
Yeah.
Swallow it,
I would
swallow
give you
it.
something to cry for.
You understand? I mean, give me a break. If you beat me, let me cry. You understand what I'm talking about?
At
Because
least Papa body.
it hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
Now, during those times, we develop a lot of different emotional thoughts in our mind. We are hated. We become bitter. We feel rejected. We feel that nobody cares. And we grow up with that kind of mentality. Not only that, when we come into situations, whether it is physical or emotional, that hurt us, we now are already taught to not cry. You cannot cry. You're a man. Man up. There is no need for you to cry. Even if you feel the pain, my goodness sake, cry. Because it hurts.
Because guess what? Imagine you fall from a bike and dislocate your shoulder.
Right.
And for the next 5 years, you never cry or say it hurting you. You just hush, you suck it up every time you feel the pinch, every time you try to pick up a grocery bag and you feel the strain. You stay quiet. Never go to a doctor. You never even tell your mom, your dad, your woman, your friend, boy, that shoulder, they're killing me since I fought. No, you just swallow it up. Keep on living your life as if your shoulder is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And see what happened to your arm in 5 years.
Perfect example.
Yes, your two options were you could have cried in the moment, admit that something is broken on the inside of
Get
you,
help for it.
and it needs to be healed, and get help.
Yes.
And save it, or you could man up and swallow it and live life as normal and lose your whole arm.
Which is what we do all the time.
Which is what we always do. And that is where the struggle for mental health with men shows itself in its worst form. We keep swallowing and we keep hiding, we keep sweeping under the rug. We just strap it, rub dirt on it, whatever it is, and we keep on.
Vicks.
In a world where
Put Vicks on it.
in a world where that is what is expected of us, how do we curb that? How do we go forward from that? You know what I'm saying?
Can I ask a question? Who actually expect that from us? It is expected from us, right? But who actually expects that from us?
Who is pushing the expectation? Is it us because of what we were trained for? Is it the women or female counterparts that this is what they were told a man is, and if we not that, then we're not worthy of them?
Or are we trained to all expect the same thing?
Or are we just placing that expectation on ourselves?
Yeah.
Because we never tried to do it differently.
And you know that for it, and you know that is just based on people's opinion. You know that.
Yeah. If you the way, and it sounds, and it probably sounds so cliche or easier said than done, but the starting point is just to start with yourself, to look at yourself in a mirror and admit to yourself you are a person with a mind, with a physical body, and with a soul. And all three are important. And you have to look at yourself and admit to yourself that there are things in me that are not okay.
Yeah.
If you cannot, it starts inside. If you cannot admit to yourself when you're not okay, nobody is going to help you, nobody is going to fix you. The first cry for help has to be internal. Is to look at that little boy inside you that was told he cannot cry. To look at the little boy that every time he fall down, he forced himself not to feel. To look at the young man that when he got his first heartbreak, instead of sitting down there and internalizing it and accepting that your heart is broken and you need time to heal, you just rush to get another woman so you can feel better.
Yep.
Or to look at the young man that when he got introduced to alcohol or some drug or party life or whatever it is, that was the only way you dealt with your pain. And everything else was girly, feminine, soft, and weak. You have to look at that and address that. I remember a few, well, it cannot be a few now because I now realize in my age, but I was early in my teenage years. I remember the first time I had dealt with something that on my own it was very painful and it was a burden. And going for almost a year, just ignoring it. Until one night, I was going to take a shower and thoughts in my head, conversations and all of that. And I decide before I go and bathe, I'm going to try something different. I lock the bathroom, put everything there, and I just stand up and I watch myself in the mirror. And I just wait for it. And I cried. And that was the first time I ever see myself cry. And that was the turning point in my life of when I understood that you have to take your mind into account. Because when I started, I couldn't stop. And I didn't realize there was all that pain inside me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that thing hurt me that much. And on the surface, it seems so simple. But it's more than what happens to you. It's how it affects you. So,
bro,
it has to start with you.
A cry feel nice sometimes.
Yeah, man, you feel
relieved, man. You feel you let it go. You know,
yeah.
Sometimes I try not to cry in front of my sons and things. So my son told my wife, "Mommy, but Daddy doesn't cry." So she said, "Yes, I've seen Daddy cry, but he doesn't cry much." Because I really don't cry a lot. I try to be tough up and man up, and that's a thing that I struggle with. You know, you say watch a romantic movie, I really connect and sometimes I cry, you understand? So if my wife and I watching the movie and the tears flowing, every time I do that, you know. Yeah, but I do not want her to see the tears flowing.
He's an A&E daddy.
You know, and because
A&E.
Still, for me, coming from the generation that you come from a different generation.
Yes.
So I see myself as the center platform that bridges the last and this and the next one. So I'm in the middle. You understand? But for me, I just feel that I thought this is what I am struggling with to let go, because I have read. You understand? And I understand some things in the way that my parents hadn't understood it, and they will never understand it. And so I want to train my sons to be the other way. And for me, there's an internal battle that is going on with what I was taught to do, what is ingrained in me as a person, and what I know I have to do. So I have to backslide from those things that I know for me to hold on to those other things. But there is just this struggle, you know, inside my person. And many times I can't help but revert to what used to be. And I have to keep rehearsing all the time because it is better for me. You know, sometimes you do something and you say, oh my God, I created a monster. Well, I feel I'm the monster my parents created. You understand what I'm talking about? So if they're to say I created a monster, well, I must be the monster. And I do not want to breed more monsters. You understand? But I do not want my sons to even talk on the area of womanizing and so. I do not want my sons to ever think that it is okay to just have multiple women and multiple, you understand what I'm talking about? Because I mean, this is so sickening. It is so shameful for a man, you understand, to want a good wife, but wants to be out there exploiting all the young girls. You understand what I'm talking about?
And one
And
day,
so
raise a daughter.
right. So this is one thing I am struggling with, to talk to my sons, because they are looking at me. And I have a past that I show them what my past was and how much regret I have. You know, I would have been a much better man, more educated, more successful, richer. You understand what I'm talking about? Had I not taken the path of my fathers, because that's what I met. And so I'm struggling with that, you know, to become a better person. Hopefully I'll become that before I die.
I would want to interject to say I'm not sure that you would be a better person than you are now.
Well, I would think I am growing.
Right.
And for you to make that pronouncement, it would mean I've stopped growing.
No, but what if
oh, had I not done all those things?
Hmm?
The way I think, I may have had less experience. So the reason I can speak to you like that,
exactly.
it is because of the backdrop I'm coming from.
Right, and that's well
But
for me.
let's talk about fiscals.
Okay.
Real money, you understand?
Money. Okay.
I could have been a rich man. Honestly, I could have been a rich man now. But because of that, and even choosing a woman to make children with, if she can't be wife, she can't be mother of your children. And this is something that we want to understand as men, because a wife is just a partner that you choose, but the woman you make children is going to carry on your genes. And whatever it is in her, it is going to infiltrate or go permeate right through your generation. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So if you see this girl and you do not like the girl she is, if you think she's slutty or whatever, why are you going after her? Because then you have a child with her, and that child might be a girl. Watch out. You have a little slut right in your gene line. And so it is important that we find wife before we find child mother. You understand? So the wife is the one that is good for wife, is good for the mother. If you have 5 children with a woman, marry her. She must be good for the wife. Because that's where your generation is. You understand?
So
that's how I see it.
True. So like another thing I just thought of while we were there, in terms of like how we change that stereotype of how men approach our mental health. I think another good thing would be after you deal with yourself, we have to create spaces for conversation. We have to create that forum in the different sectors of our life. If it literally means scheduling a time, let's say you start with your relationships, you with a woman, schedule time once a week, almost like a meeting, where you going to sit down and speak on things that pertain to the internal person, the man inside your mind, things that you might not know how to express it, but start the conversation and open those conversations with no on both sides with no judgment.
True.
I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to listen to you. And if I'm not clear, let me ask the questions that will help me understand you without feeling like you are attacking me, even if it is something that you feel I'm doing wrong. Without feeling attacked by you, but simply for the purpose of understanding where you are. Create that in your relationships. If it's in your circle of friends, decide that sometimes, fellas, we're just gonna sit down. You know, if you all want to have a drink, cool, but keep it to a minimum because you want to stay conscious and relatively sober in that moment. And let's say, fellas, we're gonna sit down and talk about where we are as men. Yeah. I don't care about how much money you make for the week. I don't care about how much work you accomplished so far. I don't really care about how many sets and reps you did in the gym. That's fine. Let's talk about where you are mentally. Let's create a forum at least once a week where you tell me, boy, sometimes I just feeling like that job not for me. Like I feeling like I want more from life. I feel like that's not my purpose. No, you're not gonna say that. Why not? You're just gonna do whatever brings an income because we were trained to be effective. Yes. And trained to bring something, trained to gather something, to get something, to build something. No, you need to be able to say, I do not feel fulfilled here, or I feel like I keep feeling like I can do more, or like just to sit down and tell them, and fellas, no matter how hard I work, I always feel like a failure. Why?
Mm.
Because I feel like no matter what I do, so and so not proud of me. No, we can get somewhere and we can
Yeah.
understand something that you're dealing with from way back that is affecting where you are now. And if you could overcome that, then maybe you could find some peace in your present situation. But it starts with so first we address ourselves, then we create conversation where you can now express those things.
Yes,
And
yes.
maybe some of us really need is therapy, because your friends might not, or your loved one, the person that you love the most, might not be prepared to ask the question exactly. They might not be prepared to ask the questions that need to be asked. Sometimes you need a third party who is not connected to you in any way. So there's no bias. They're just going to hear you and ask questions from a logical standpoint, or from a place of trying to go deeper
Yeah, yeah.
and force you to question your own self. And therapy is so important.
Yes, cause let me add to that, because I was going to, that was my point I was going to make. Because like, let me just add to what, to support Gavin. I believe therapy, we have to make it normal. I believe every human being, I was talking to my friend about that. Every human being need therapy. Therapy is a tool of the creator. Even if it's not a professional, but even the questions you was just talking about, Gavin, I was thinking some people might not afford or have the courage to go to a therapist. But I think like we should have some practices where there are common questions we can ask each other, where we can know how the person doing. Like there's a the link you sent for me. It have a list of things, and like if you're not doing okay, you can tell your friend, "Oh, I'm a number this or I'm a that," so then your friend can maybe know. Then Gavin is going through this, so let me see how I can support Gavin in that way. So we have therapy among friends if we cannot afford to do it professionally. But professionally, the therapist is going to be able to ask you question and hear what you think. And the I mean, if you lie, it's going to take longer. But if you just open up yourself, and if you really want to discover yourself, you're going to be honest. And don't be scared. The therapist, they're going to sign a non-disclosure agreement with you. Like, they're not going to give your information to anybody else. So whatever you're dealing with is not going to be people's business. And you can also choose whether or not you want a female psychologist, a male psychologist, a Christian psychologist.
But you know something, like just to jump in really quick.
Mhm.
A lot of the times we don't want people to know something is when we're not comfortable with it.
Yes,
Is what?
definitely.
That's
When you're
because if you see people who tell their life story and they tell even the most dirty, horrifying details of it,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
because
yeah,
they are at peace with that.
yeah.
They've come to terms with it, and they understand that this is just part of the process. It doesn't define who I am today. It is one block.
So
You
it
ever
comes
see
to
somebody?
a readiness to change coming with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one brick in my entire building. Have you ever seen somebody come and watch a big building and point out one block? When you get to that point that you understand that this doesn't define my entire life, but it's just part of it, then you free with just, it doesn't matter who knows or who doesn't know, because who I am today has grown out of that. We need the therapy to deal with it. I mean, just think of that this way. Therapy is like navigation. We need help navigating our experience in life. If you've ever driven in the United States, doesn't matter how far away something is or how close it is, you need a GPS to get there,
Yeah.
because one turn could get you lost. It's the same thing with life. Even though it seems like the things we're dealing with are so simple and routine, we never realize how lost we get because of one little turn. And sometimes you need a little navigation to help you find your way back to center and then move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always said that men are not the talking type. Women speak more. And because of that, we find men have more emotional traumas in their lives, or in our lives. We don't talk about personal stuff, things like our sexualities. we don't talk about these things. A man speaks about his sexuality in a boastful manner, and
Yeah,
sometimes it is
complex.
quite the opposite of that. You understand? So he wouldn't want you to know that he has a problem keeping it up. He wouldn't want you to know that he cannot go for past 30 seconds. You understand what I'm talking about?
Or you wouldn't want you to know that he doesn't feel like he achieving anything, no matter
Exactly.
how good he not feeling like he really pleasing that person.
And if we do not find a forum where we can freely talk about it, we will never get help for it. And if we never get help for it, we're going to keep dying in silence. And many times people snap and we get a mental breakdown. And for very simple things that might have been helped just by a friend. You understand what I'm talking about? But we choose to carry those things alone because we are taught to shut it inside.
Is the straw that break the camel back?
Right on.
And
And
you never see the other thousands of pounds of straw.
that was
But it's just
piling
that
up on
one
that, just
thing.
that one last one.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah,
take more.
for real.
You
But
understand?
you
So
have
when
to
people,
realize that there's so much more underneath, you're right.
Yeah.
when people snap, there is so much more that is untold or that are untold that they wish they could see, And so
Yeah.
this, even what we are doing here, it is good because it gives you an opportunity to talk about some things, And
Yeah.
you rightly said, people who openly speak about their lives are people who have actually overcome the hardship or the shame, the disgrace they were
Yeah.
exposed to. You overcome it, and you can talk about it. You understand what I'm talking about? And but either way, sometimes we go by the notion, you know what? I do not want anybody to know my business because the public is going to hear about it. But then when we break down, the public will hear about what broke us down. You understand?
Whoa, whoa,
So,
whoa.
so, so it is important that we find somewhere, somehow to vent it out, to talk. Sometimes it's difficult to talk to the woman you have. Find a partner, find somebody that we can talk about because it will
That
keep
you can
us
pour
sane.
out and they can
Yeah,
come
man.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh,
Because
where your
so
head is?
here's
Good.
here's something I was going to say when he said about finding a partner is that with me I have my best friend, right? A guy I'm close to. And here's something I realized that right now I've known him for a number of years, maybe over 5 years. I've known this man, right? And it's more now that I am able to be verbal with certain things about me that I know I will not communicate very easily. And I was going to say that, and I think that some of the people need to know is that it is okay to have one person to talk to.
Mhm.
Not everybody has to know exactly what it is you're going through because in the name of trying to be verbal. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like even
you
like
have
with
to be very careful. I think that too is important.
yeah, because like even in and like you were saying, Gavin, it vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like even just the other day, man, he was having a one-on-one and he was just outletting to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was just letting me have it and telling me certain things that was really going on with him. I just stood there quiet and just listened all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Like having that one place to be able to channel everything. And sometimes it might not happen as quickly as you want it.
Mhm.
Because like me and that guy, we were really close. And our relationship was like a normal body relationship. You know, we go there, we go and do that. We pose it, we used to work together at some point. So we used to always work together and always chill and always irie and thing. But then as time passed, we find that we can confide in each other. We can talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? We can trust each other with certain information. And I know you're not gonna go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I can feel no way but acting anyway around that fella. You know what I'm saying? And I think like that is very important to a man. And I also believe that to a man, that is something very sacred, even in terms of like a woman, you know what I'm saying, or somebody that we in relation with, right?
Mhm.
Having that person, if when a man says that's what he's committed to, that is very, very important to him. You know what I'm saying? And I can say it for myself too, because when I in my serious relationship, I was my mindset was just okay, that and a lot of my communication, especially a lot of the emotional part of me, that was an outlet. You know what I'm saying? Because I know to myself, I'm the kind of person to go around and disclose certain things about me to anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm very particular with those things. And I think
Right.
like that is something that we men need to be able to identify who it is we're going to be able to disclose those important information to. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a
Trust
lot
is
of things.
important.
What's that?
I was just saying, trust is important.
Trust is
It's a
very,
big
very
part of
important.
how we deal with our mental health as well.
Exactly. And it takes a lot for me. It takes a lot to get me to a level where I feel that I can disclose that to you. Takes a while for me to get to a level to feel like, okay, I can trust you with this information. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things about me that I had to deal with. And it took me a lot of time because I have and shout out to Jefferson one time. Jeff, wonderful man. Um, he was my coach for some time, my life coach, and I had a lot of personal things to deal with. And I never realized how much of my life was connected to something so simple. You know what I'm saying? And just for talking to him, just for using him as that outlet. And he didn't say much, ask me basic questions and I answer. And then I see my whole
Go
life.
through your own self
It just
discovery.
unveiled itself to me, right? And everything just connected. And I was like, the real reason why I so pissed all the time is because of something that happened to me how much years ago. You know what I'm saying? And like it's just so fundamental how important it is again for us men to be able to have an outlet to speak. You know what I'm saying? To be able to talk. And that's one thing that we feel like men just have to shut up because we just feel like, you know what? Best we don't talk about it. Just forget about it. And that is something that, like, again, it crippling that mental part of us because we're not
Yeah,
getting
man.
the chance to vent. We're not getting the chance to be and show the man inside us that we're trying to vocalize. You know what I'm saying?
Like my one advice, as you just spoke about having venting, having an outlet, my one advice, don't minimize anything. If I could tell guys one thing when it comes to talking, don't make don't tell yourself anything is too small or insignificant.
Right.
True.
Because once you start minimalizing things, you don't get to see the significance, not of what it is, but of what it will be one day.
Right.
Because you have to realize that from every small seed grows a big tree.
Mhm.
So that little thing that you minimalize today, the anger is a branch, then resentment is a branch, abandonment issues is another branch, insecurity becomes another branch. Then from that comes excessive ego, and then from that ego branches out pride, and then humiliation when pride throws you down. And look at that one little seed, one little
Yeah,
thing.
man.
From the resentment comes broken relationships. Then from the broken relationship is a heartbreak, which leads to toxicity in the way you deal with people or lack of trust.
Yeah.
And then because you don't trust anybody, you become very sneaky and disloyal. Then you become a liar. Then your lies hurt people. And now you're dealing with seclusion because you lose everybody around you from just being a crappy person. Now you have to be a loner. All of that from one little thing. But if you could go back and instead of minimalizing this seed, pick it up and watch it and say, this is an issue.
Yes.
And even if it's looking small, I need to just get it out and be free from it. Now you save yourself of all these branches of hurt and mental pressure, which can improve your mental health.
True.
So don't minimalize anything.
I actually I agree that trust me, because it's like I think we need to learn to recognize seeds though, like problem seeds. That I think we need to learn to recognize those things, and I also think we need to take initiative to be the one to create the space. Because I think, like as Josh was saying, he opened up to his friend, and then like he's seen his friend opening up to him too. His friend opening up too. So like it's like
we always cry that nobody creating spaces for us, but you have to ask for space, and you have
we
to
can be
ask
the one to start it, because I imagine I pull up and I think Gavin, I pull up and check in with it well now. Adam and Eve, well, Adam, let me just say Adam. Adam was the only man that come on earth and he didn't come as a baby, right? I check in, the earth was too rugged, and earth was too rugged for him to deal with it as a baby. It was too brutal.
Time and the requirement. And I like the fact that I like the fact that you even bring up something from a biblical sense, or like that have a religious background.
Yeah, because let me pause you there for a second. Let me finish because I just forget fast. What I said that to say, remember your point there, please? What I said that to say, Yeah, what I
right?
said that to say is trauma and like when you come on Earth, imagine you come on Earth, Gavin. Try to put yourself back in the younger days, and you come on Earth and you're just observing. Okay, that lady feeding me, that man he always go and work. Okay, cool. So I know who I safe around. I trust in that lady more because every time I cry and she pick me up, I feel safe around her. And it's like you just come in a world and you're just seeing things. And worse again, if you haven't got one of your parents to bring the other side of what you're supposed to know about life, because it's two energies, is male and female, which I believe is in God as well.
Yeah.
And so you have this both energies that the child need to be a full person. You understand? And
Mhm.
that I don't think we understand we just pay mind to this thing because it's so easy to just live life like one step at a time. Like just walk, take a
True.
step and don't even think about the cause of certain things. Um, I would like to also say something very, very, very maybe polarizing to the females, but I feel like as male human, we need to define our role because when as things start to get blurred, right? You have the young man raising up his independent woman daughter. That independent woman daughter is going to make a very soft young man. Like most times it happens that way that young man going to be very submissive. And sometimes those men get taken for a ride. So it's like
I have
cycles.
I like what you say because that jumps on a point and a perspective that I have. I don't know how familiar some might be with it in terms of the different generations, but a lot of women these days like to talk about toxic masculinity and the parts of manhood and masculinity that's toxic to society or towards
Mhm.
Yes.
women or just for life in general. But when we think of it this way, the majority of homes in our society are single parent households where the woman is the single parent. Majority of young men right now only have their mother in their life. I mean, we can say that you can either go out and get the statistics for me, or we can just go by what we see in society. Either way, it proves itself.
Right.
When you go to the schools, majority of our teachers are what? Female.
Yeah.
So when we look at toxic masculinity or the things that are taught to men and instilled in men that train them up to then have all of these toxic mannerisms, is it really taught to them by women? Is it that, and that's a question we have to ask, is it that a lot of the things that we are taught about manhood that actually turns out to be toxic and poisonous and not good for how we should behave
Yeah.
actually instilled in us by the women in our lives?
Actually is Gavin, as you're saying that is a real realization to know that the
Yep.
women are the foundation of the society now, like if you
Right
think about
now,
it.
right now,
No.
we're not training and teaching and raising almost all our young men.
It has been so forever.
Yeah.
Um, I also think that we have more men influence in children's life now than it was before. And I will tell you because when
Because
you
they're trying to break that cycle.
right, but put it this way: today we have men who are bankers, we have men who are, IT specialists and so on. And when men work from home, but there were the days where a woman's husband would have died 6 months ago because he is right over working and she doesn't know her husband is dead.
Yes.
So you understand what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So from a biblical standpoint, the man is the breadwinner and he goes far to win that bread. But the woman is the homemaker and she stayed home
And
and
raises the
she,
children.
she reared the children according to the societal norms and the instruction of her husband. Where the deviation took place is where the women
Independent.
felt that they do not have to carry out the instruction of the man, but they are wiser than the man. You understand? And so,
Boy.
and so now
So they,
what
so they started teaching the young men what they
Radon,
want
Hey, hey.
and
to be
so
rather
what
than
we
what
are
they meant to
crying
be.
about is the
Boy.
monster that they created.
So toxic masculinity, so
Hey.
toxic masculinity is actually the
Created.
absence of true masculinity.
I'm telling you,
Whoa.
because the woman thinks she can now raise a young man.
But you know, the women have a sense, a bit of masculine energy, but I don't think it's enough though. It's not enough. You're
No,
not
it
even if you
cannot
have
be
the
enough.
energy, you're not the source. You're not it. You understand what I'm saying?
It cannot be enough.
I
We need
Boy.
so that lack, and I'm glad that you even made that point, and it's like in society and culture throughout history,
Yeah.
when we don't have that true masculine influence on our young men, they're missing something. I mean, have you? We can even discuss that and like kind of dive into it, but you never find it strange that the thing that women publicly and by popular consensus claim what they want a man to be, when a man is actually that, he doesn't get woman. Think about it. When women say a man needs to be this, oh, I love a man that will do that so nice, sweet, gentle, caring, thoughtful, great at communication, is always romantic, cares about my this and then when you are all
problem
of those things, they're
problem
woman.
coming. Yeah, man. Of course.
Because
Listen,
because while they
sometimes
describe what they feel would be the right energy to match theirs, when they find it, it isn't as it doesn't scream masculine. It
So
doesn't
can we,
bring
Gabby?
forward the male energy that they need to balance theirs.
Oh, yeah. So can we, real quick. So can we say, boy, we will leave the controversy for a little bit.
Personally, here's what I think. Going back to what I was talking about really early, where you was asking a question about where does um
The
um
expectation come
the
from.
expectation come from. Now you see that just as you said that women would say that they want those things from a man, but a lot of times that is not what catches their eye. You know what I'm saying? And again, men go around a lot of times wanting that. You know what I'm saying? What man doesn't want love? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when we go out looking for a woman, men know to get a woman, I have to be that way. And personally, let me tell you, I've seen guys who were just as you described, kind, gentle, caring, considerate, putting women's feelings first, and all that kind of stuff there, and then have to transition from that because they realize what that is not what a woman wants, or that is not what, even though that's what she says she
It
wants,
doesn't draw her.
it doesn't draw her. So then you know what happens?
Yeah.
The man then decides for me to get what I want, I have to be different. You know what I'm saying? I have to be that kind of more cold person, that kind of more
Now,
toxic
when we
person.
translate that from relationships to just general manhood and behavior, there is conflict inside of us.
Yep.
Should we?
Yep.
I should say. Should we just start saying like, let's stop blurring the lines of our roles? Should we start saying that? Let's stop blurring the lines of our roles, or because we're in an age where people challenging everything and people
Yep.
getting offended by everything. So going back to certain things that's so deep rooted as issues, because let me tell you something, the black woman is very, very oppressed, and we know that. We as
Oh yeah.
black men know that, and maybe they don't know black men know that, but black men know that. But if you're not willing to take some therapy to address your issues, don't expect the man to just tolerate and to just be the one to fix you or to be a source of your happiness, or you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, should
Because
we
even
have
that
it
too creates a mental
normalized
burden.
saying let's not blur the lines?
Because even that creates a mental burden. And we
li-
have to go ahead, Sam. I
listen
was
to
waiting
that.
for
There,
you.
there is a book that says men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And the author of that book to show the vast difference between the two sexes. But we must consider also that there are men living on Venus and women living on Mars. And the reason I say that is the same battle and the same struggles and the same conflict, internal conflicts that we have, women have it as well. The expectation that our men, it's also on the women. And he just said just now that the man who is as the woman describes is at a loss because he doesn't really get that kind of woman. And even if when he becomes that, he is not appealing to the woman because there is what is expected by the status quo, and that is what is expected by the individual. And this is where the internal conflict comes in because she likes the guy who takes control, but her friend expects her to have a guy who brings flowers and roses and every kind of thing. She wants to support her guys and give her guy money, but society says the guy has to give you.
Tell her the man have to provide. Yeah.
No, you understand what I'm talking about. So when she gets who society wants her to get, want him because she wants to be told what to do. You understand? Society say the man should not tell the woman what to do. The woman must be an independent thinker. She must be assertive. She must be confident. But she wants to lean on a man and depend on a man because she enjoys that kind of man. So here the internal conflicts comes. He is everything society says or the opposite sex say he should be, and his girl cannot be satisfied with him. So guess what? She is with this hardback guy. And people wonder, what is she doing with him? And so that thing about toxic masculinity and all this kind of thing, I just think it is a system that is pushing this. And we have to fight that system. We should seek to be individuals rather first to define ourselves as individuals before we become part of the team. Because we have to bring diversity to the team. We cannot bring that common thing to the team. That is why life is so boring and frustrated. Because everybody is saying the same stupid thing that nobody believes. We all say what they expect us to say.
We want to say things that sound good and noble.
Yeah, man.
Ideal. And we care about people feelings. Men care about women feelings so much.
So much, bro.
Men care so much about women's feeling that men go to the extent of lying and bringing down the immoral.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I had that conversation with a couple of female friends, and I was like, imagine I had two women in my life. And one of them, I'm straight up honest with her. I tell her what her role is, and I tell her that there's another woman in my life, and you're just going to have to understand that. And then the other woman, I tell her she's the only girl I have, the only one for me. She's my everything, and there's nobody else but her. Who you think I love more? The one
who told the truth. The one who told the truth.
I love the one I lied to more because that is the one I'm trying to protect.
But guess what? The one you told the truth, you are
the
loving.
one I'm honest with, I am showing her better love because at least I'm honest.
And that's what love is about. Yeah. Love doesn't lie.
Exactly.
So you might be more emotionally connected to the other one.
To try to protect that one.
Right.
Boy, you don't even know the power of what you just said. But you don't even know. You probably embarrassed how much man know and how much man may be in problem with the woman. All not from that.
Exactly.
Because that is just facts.
But those are things in the mind of a man.
Yep.
Those are the pressures that you have to deal with, that you never even learn to understand. Why am I doing this? Why am I like this? Why is it I have to behave this way? Where I almost feel compelled to have to speak like this and do things this way and all of that. And now you're in a world of trouble. You don't know where it come from. You're trying to pick up the pieces and you're losing your head in the process. But it comes from...
Hey, man have to grab... Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, a question I'm going to ask you. Or you don't think that maturity that is being displayed right now, that emotional maturity and mental maturity that Gavin is giving off, that Sam is giving off, that Kendrick is giving off, is something that we grasp too late. That like, okay, I think I looking at I look at so why is it what I looking for?
Society?
Social media, I
Social,
want to say.
ah.
Social media, I want to say, right? We're looking at social media, right? And social media comes from a more youthful standpoint, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And now let's think about it. A lot of the things that we see on social media, right, has a lot of that toxic masculinity, a lot of the things, a lot of the standards that society puts on us, right? So here's the thing: is the question that we just need more time to mentally mature, or that we going into the world not mentally mature and emotionally prepared for it?
We not I would say, Kendrick, just quickly, we're not
Mhm.
speaking enough on things for us to learn from the mistakes of others. So then we have to actually make mistakes to learn.
So,
The
so we,
reason
And then it takes a longer period.
the reason why women can develop in these ways a lot quicker is because they share. So now
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
younger lady can sit down there and hear, boy, so and so go through all that with man. I cannot let that happen to me. Or so and so had all these experiences in life, and I have to find a way to navigate when it happens to me so that I don't think, or that they even try to have certain experiences way earlier.
Hmm.
But men, we have to go through that long grind out process,
Because we're choosing to be silent.
go through it because all man silent.
Yeah, yeah,
Kendrick deal with that already,
yeah.
but Kendrick don't even willing to just open up and talk to it. So I will never hear it. So I have to wait until I go through the same process as Kendrick to learn it. And Kendrick had Sam in his life. And all Kendrick chose to learn from Sam or pull from Sam was music. When he could have opened up to him about life, and then Sam could now
Yeah.
maybe find a way to open up and say, hey, I dealt with this, that, and that, and that, and that. And that is why I think now Kendrick reached the age of 30 and is only now he realizing something he could have learned from Sam when he was 22.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
real
True,
thing,
true,
real
true.
thing, real thing, that.
And it's so
If we share, we can learn from the path others took. You see, that is how we even learn in life. You have to know your history
Of
to know
course.
where you're heading.
That's why I
yeah,
And
like talking to older
sometimes
people.
it cannot just
same.
be my history alone. I have to learn the history of another person by
True.
opening up to them and telling them my concerns and creating a space where they can now open up to me and give me the experience.
Yeah,
It,
yeah. And
that's what.
in the whole midst of all of that, I feel like we have to reach to a point where we say, you see how we as men talking about the things that are lacking and the things that we find is like a pothole in our whole relationship life. I feel we men have to grab life by the balls. I
Yeah.
feel like when we realize what the issues are, we have to be the one to say, let's get therapy, talk to somebody, and make sure it deal with. I feel like we should think about being the ones to create the space for people to talk to. I feel like we should be making thinking normal, thinking about problems, trying to solve them normal, like
Speaking about problems
talking
too.
We
about
have to
things
make
normal.
we have to make feeling normal.
Yeah,
We have to make feeling normal. Because man, we just think we all, like I said in the beginning, we always logical. Sometimes we'll just go based on our gut, but even our gut is still like a something that is trained in the mind,
it's
like
true.
an intuition, a sense.
Even our
But it,
conscience is training.
but feeling is not being sensitive to the environment that is outside of just our five senses,
Hmm.
feeling things and then dealing with it in that way. We have to make feeling and understanding feelings normal for
Yeah, yeah.
men.
So
And
Gavin,
that is why,
while you're speaking, can you? I feel like it's a good time for us to give our closing remarks on our final words on what we think, what we conclude based on our conversation, and what we can advise people to do. Or
my
as we're talking, like each of us can say like a last word so that we can,
yeah,
yeah.
my last thing is, you as a man, your mental health is important. You are valuable, and you are more than just what you do and accomplish and set out to become. You are a person that is inside of this frame, no matter how big or small or strong or whatever it is. You are a person, and that person cannot be taken for granted. You have thoughts, you have feelings, they need to be respected, appreciated, and dealt with. And you cannot do this by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself, and you don't have to. You are not alone. There are people who you can trust, who you can rely on, who you can lean and depend on to help you navigate life. Because the more we do that, the more successful we can be on our journey. So search yourself, understand where your pain is. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It doesn't make you weak. And when you do get help and you do find that strength, be willing to be that strength for somebody else. Because we have to always pay it forward and ensure that we create a stronger and stronger community of men to protect our women better, to love them better, to raise better children, and to just create a better society than what we had to deal with and grow through. So it's up to us now. Let's value our mental, and let's just try to be better.
Respect.
Vibes.
True. Let's sum it up. You do not need a license to be a man. You was born so. And
Oof.
the your physical or your inner person is that you're a man. It doesn't matter whether you go through the sex change or not, you're a man. You understand? We have to also have to understand that everything we do, it doesn't matter how much distress that we find ourselves under. Everything we do, it's a decision that we make. If a gun is placed to your head and you are asked to do something or die, you still have a choice. You could die for what you believe, or you could compromise so that you could live a few days longer. I'm saying this because sometimes we find ourselves being pressured by who people want us to be, as opposed to who we want to be. We need to learn and understand how to express our individualities. It might not be the ideal, it might not be what other people expect, and it might not be what measure up to our peers. But the truth is, we all fit somewhere. We need, however, to be able to find a way to express, or there's feelings that we feel inside. He said a while ago, a few questions his friend asked, and he was able to flow. Let us talk. Let us start the conversation. It, if speaking about something makes you feel uncomfortable, then this is important. We normally speak about things that are not important, that we are not emotionally attached to, or embarrassed by. And so if speaking about that things brings up some kind of stress, it is important. Let us find somebody whom we can trust to talk about it. Every man have a place to fit in this big kaleidoscope of personalities. If I use this cliche correctly, but that's my own cliche, right? We have somewhere to fit. Let us find where we fit. And once we find where we fit, we will enunciate our individualities there, and we can live a good life, because what we want is to live a life where we can express ourselves. In absence of that, what we have is madness.
Wow. I would say never be afraid to be different. That's what I would tell any man. Being different is okay. Going outside of the status quo is okay. You need to be able to have that mental fortitude to identify yourself as a man. Identify who you are. Being a man is not by what society pressures you to be. Being a man is being who you know in yourself that you are. If this is who you are, if this is what defines you, you act on that and act on that accordingly.
True.
You work towards that, you build on that, and you hold tight to it. And to me, it's very important because it is a big thing for me. And again, we are entertainers, and we know what it's like to be a part of something and then people look down on it. And it's just that mentality to grab a hold of it and maintain this is what we're doing. So it is okay to be different. That's my takeaway. That's why I leave it with you guys.
Man. Boy, I just want to say like having this kind of information as young children, Gavin. You can imagine how things would be different. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
my closing remark is not really like anything structured, but it's just to think about being free from bondage of people's opinions and like how like why Gavin decide to do that, or it's like being, I feel like now we should just focus on our mission. So if you, Gavin, your mission right now is to create a new mixer board or something, you work diligently on that, bro. And your partner, let me tell you that your partner will be on the road to that victory you're going to get there, you know. I strongly believe that your partner will be on that road. And any man that have his coins together and have his life together, a woman have no choice but to respect that man.
True
And
that.
True that.
True
if
that.
that
True that.
woman cannot respect you, that means she doesn't respect herself. And then it is it she actually was supposed to go in the first place. So
Right,
she
right.
go, she go. So
Yeah.
I think I reached to a point in my mind now where I feel and I know, for me personally, what I have to do is focus on my mission. What I know that I supposed to be getting good at, what I supposed to be getting better at. Focus on that, and on my journey to getting better and getting to where I want to get. Then somebody will be on somebody. Yeah, that's how it is. So
The people will follow.
right.
Yeah, man.
And
It's the
when
same
you
with the
going
Bible.
along in your journey,
What's that?
I was saying it's the same with the Bible tell you if you seek God first and his kingdom and his righteousness, everything else will come. If you stay focused
Yeah,
on
yeah.
your
what
path and on your mission, all the other things that you're looking for in life is gonna come, but you have to
Yeah, yeah,
focus
yeah.
on that central thing first.
yes, it's like an anchor point kind of.
Yeah.
It's like an anchor
It's like
point.
your compass.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
I was talking to someone once. I mean, it was our closing remarks.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's all,
Say it.
shit. It's a lot of hours of editing, and I forget what I was gonna say.
Wow.
Now you mustn't stop yourself halfway. Just get your thoughts
I
out.
just feel bad when I just feel bad when I disturbing people. I just feel a kind of way like when I talking is because I don't have thought to go. So I
That is
just
something
over
that
talk
you
over
have
people.
to change, doesn't it? And that is something that again we have to change. Don't never feel no kind of way for expressing yourself because self-expression is beautiful. As the next thing, and as a man, you have to be okay with the beautiful parts of you. It's not bad to you have to be okay with that. Like your mind, the way you express yourself, the things that you see, and the way you see the world, and all of that. That is the beauty of who you are as an
Yeah, man.
individual, as a man, as a person. And if everything we say in there could just be wrapped up into like just one thing, is embrace the beauty of who you are and seek every day to continue to enhance it,
Yeah, man.
Right.
For
to
real.
continue to build it, water that flower, water that garden that is inside of you, in your
Bloom.
mind, in your heart, and watch life just spring out of you in
Yes.
so many ways.
And
And
you will get that respect. Yeah.
yeah, man,
For
and
real.
everything else comes with it. But it doesn't matter what you acquire in life if what is inside is left to die. Nothing else
Yeah.
will bring you
True that.
peace
True that.
and
Yeah.
joy.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. This week we had a lot of things we let go. We had Master Sam with us today, and we had some serious information that went down today. Information that we know will shape a new generation, a new way of thinking. So thank you for tuning in this week. My name is Kenrick, our host here, Josh,
Josh.
our assistant host. You have Gavin on the other side doing his thing in the trap. See you next week.
Boom.
Yes, sir.